Well, now that you're all done headbanging, welcome back for the decider game between Echo Fox and TSM. And as the series has gone, TSM's won the even games, Fox has won the odd game, and they picked blue side once again.
Well, seems like they both think that there's pretty much nothing wrong with the strategies. They haven't had to show anything on a different side. Echo Fox claiming that blue is the way to go, and for TSM, red 5 games in a row still.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of tend to agree that there has been nothing wrong with the sides that they are choosing. Nothing wrong with that. It has come down to individual play. It has come down to the better players in the individual games. I mean, Bjergsen just had a very incredible carry performance here on the Aurelia, really taking over that game. And you think back through most of the games, there has been standouts that have really carried their team through.
Yeah, we've seen Damonte and Lost. We've seen Dardoch and Huni pop off. We've even seen games where it was Bjergsen, but then one with Zven. And now we're seeing if they can pull one more out here from either team. You need to have that individual performance. You need to have pretty much the game of the season for your team right now.
As we are going to enter the draft here, feels like new stars will be made and old ones will be reforged here. As it looks like the bands will likely stay very similar. Touch on them if there are any changes, but so far, so the same. Again, both teams feeling very confident with the way they've approached these games.
Yeah, we'll see, too, if the pressure starts to get to Echo Fox a little bit more. They had a game to give last time around. Now you have all of these young players up against it, one game from elimination. A lot of pressure there, but likewise, for the veterans, such high expectations are there for TSM.
And right now, pick ban, a little bit of a switch up. Rakan, banned by TSM every single game, left up this game, and this is kind of that test of what are they going to first pick here? Because the Braum was taken away. The Rakan is the one that's left up here.
You can also see Aurelia off the table there. So, like Medios was saying on the desk, you can leave up the Sejuani if you take away the Aurelia because that pairing is so strong. Ooh. It is going to be the first pick Kindred, which leaves up the opportunity for TSM to just go Xayah Rakan straight up right here if they wanted.
And this was what the desk was talking about, saying that, you know, it was such a good performance from Dardoch on the Kindred. They've won their games with the Kindred, put him back on it, and they wouldn't even be surprised if they first picked it here. This is a champion that was banned as one of like the permabans, Aatrox. You had Kindred, Nocturne on red side, and nothing's changed about the champion. So picking it up here for Dardoch, like we said, he's gonna have to have a carry performance, which, you know, he's had plenty of the split.
Covering the Lee Sin for quite a bit of time, which can be a good matchup into the Kindred, but TSM comfortable with Grig on tanks. It's right back to the Sejuani, and they won't have that mid lane pairing, but I am interested to see if they tackle any of the other ones that had been talked about on the desk, like something like along the lines of a Yasuo.
It's interesting the Ezreal was banned away 2 games by Echo Fox, but was left up in the other ones where the Kai'Sa was taken. And so I guess now they're saying, all right, we'll let him have the Ezreal, but he picks it up immediately.
It's just all comfort here so far in the first 3 picks of the draft. Grig, one of the most confident champions. Zven, he's a well-known Ezreal, but yeah, I think Fox is saying, you know what, you leave us power, we'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, it really does feel like when you're looking in isolation just at these picks, it feels like Echo Fox got so much more. Kindred considered really S tier in the jungle meta, and this bottom lane of Xayah Rakan is considered incredibly strong.
Let's go,
oh
Mithy.
my god. They're going for Leona Ezreal. That is interesting because Leona definitely can be considered very good into the Rakan. You can really all in and blow that guy up, but Ezreal is not usually the pairing for that.
I heard this from Smoothie himself, where it was Leona was the counter pick to Xayah because you can EQR her and Sunlock her before she ever gets her R off. So it's all about potentially killing him or even just countering on the Rakan. But the big deal is this is something that is a known counter. It has not really emerged at all this split. This is the first game on Leona for Mithy in the summer split. And basically you have to pull out all the stops right now. But Echo Fox this is much easier to execute composition.
Yeah, it's just very interesting to me because, so I see it if Ezreal hits 6, then you throw in your ultimate over top and everything like that. But in the early game, I don't think that Leona Ezreal can go aggressive on Xayah Rakan. I don't think that Ezreal really has the follow-up unless he's hitting a lot of mystic shots, unless he's hitting a lot of poke. So it almost feels like you pick Ezreal to play passively and farm it out, but the Leona wants to go in or really doesn't do anything in lane. So are these two directions kind of counteracting each other? We'll find out if they can really make it work.
Yeah, and then we see the ban there of a Cho'Gath again, trying to make sure that Huni doesn't have something he can just kind of sit back on and have a decent game up against this composition from TSM. And the Rumble on top of it. I wonder if the GP, is going to come through.
Ooh, could just be a Gnar then for Hauntzer if they want to blind that, save Bjergsen's pick for last. I feel like you have to save Bjergsen's pick for last in Game 5 when he's playing this well, but they might just bold as you like, lock in the LeBlanc. Bjergsen has been confident to really face whatever Damonte's showing.
This gives over Syndra potentially, which is a comfort pick. And
All right.
a decent matchup, but Bjergsen throwing the gauntlet down again. It is LeBlanc time for him.
And this is probably Syndra time for Damonte. His best champion, his most played this split, 4-1 record on that. And I would assume that is the pick you play into the LeBlanc here.
It's just really one of those things where TSM, yes, can they make it work? Totally. They can make this draft work. But I'm looking at these picks and I'm just feeling like you're giving so much power over. A little surprised about the Galio. This is less about the lane and more about, hey, you just survive against Bjergsen. You have the follow-up onto the Recon Engage. You have the ultimate coming out of the Kindred ult. So this is about the team fighting, less about the 1v1. But this does give an opportunity for Bjergsen to take over in lane, to really get going. It was against, I want to say, a Galio against TL that he really slammed on a Kali, so you can really kind of bully those matchups sometimes.
Yeah, the Galio, not that much
Wow.
pressure in lane, and
Blind
even
Kenny.
They're blocking the Gnar, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like it's his only pick.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, Jace actually wins that matchup.
He does.
Yeah, and Jace is often easier to team fight with if you're going AD versus
Wait.
AD, but this could be AP Kennen.
And the other thing too is TSM elimination
Wow.
games, NA Jace.
Oh no, they lost.
It's not locked in
They
yet.
haven't looked
It's
in
not
it.
locked
They
in.
have 2 seconds. They have, oh, no.
Everyone who's been a TSM fan for a while has watched every Worlds tiebreaker. Time for the Jays, time to lose. We'll see if the same remains true here in Game 5 for TSM. It is a good matchup, though, into the Kennen. I think as Huni in this game, you go AP and you wait for Dardoch and you try to look for all-ins.
It's team fight.
Yeah, the team fight here is so powerful. You have Kennen, you have Galio, the Recon Engage. The Wombo here is ridiculous from Echo Fox. I feel like TSM have to establish lane advantages with the LeBlanc, with the Jace, because it's so much harder if you go into an even 5v5.
Yeah, you have a better jungler on the side of Echo Fox. You have a better bottom lane combo for the early part of the game. I'm actually watching Dardoch and Smoothie this game for Echo Fox because I want to see those engages land for him if Echo Fox are to win. But Dardoch is the one who has to dictate how those losing lanes go.
Exactly, and I think that's such a good point you bring up because while the solo lanes are advantageous for TSM, if the jungler has the advantage, if the jungler has priority and you can't push that matchup, then it's hard to really establish those edges. It's hard to get enough out of that Jason LeBlanc. So it's going to be a crazy one. TSM putting that faith in their solo laners in this pivotal Game 5, both on carry champions.
And a bit of comfort here. Grig on the Sejuani, they were saying on the desk, looked like his best champion in this series so far. LeBlanc for Bjergsen, an assassin that he can pop off on. NA Jace in the top lane is the worry for the TSM fans.
It's comfort picks, it's winning lanes versus the curse of NAJ. Dardoch said his team
It's a
was the
strong
one
curse.
loaded with all of the curses.
That's how you break the curse. That's how you break it. Break with another curse.
It's like a 4D draft. He's like, we'll bait him into the Jace pick.
Fans are excited for game number 5.
I don't think I've heard TSM chance this split of that volume at all.
Yeah.
It has just been a very rough split for this team. Up and down, mostly down, but then coming up at the end here. And now in Game 5, it has been a back and forth one.
The fans still obviously there to show up and support the team here in the playoffs, and such high expectations for these guys. It is going to be Huni playing AP Kennen, almost guaranteed here with that electrocute. He's looking for these quick trades against Jace, and you can be pretty effective in those quick trades if you can hit your Q auto W. That should be able to proc that.
Yeah. Also, if you have your stacked up W, the empowered auto attack W is electrocute right there. So you can. One of the things that is bad about the new electrocute is it takes more mana to get the same damage because you have to cast 3 spells in 2 sets as opposed to 1 time.
That's a really nice shot clock there from Hauntzer. Huni and Dardoch, we're trying something here at level 1, but just get the ward down, and it looks like Huni will try and harass.
It's the protect the scuttle meta.
Yeah, and it looks like Dardoch's going to run straight down to bottom, so he's going to be starting red. TSM won't really have this information unless they're just intuiting from the fact that the bottom lane shows up late.
But because they're mismatched, this means that Dardoch gets to go from the bottom to the top side of the map and have that rotation and the protected scuttle there because of the vision that they just put at level 1. But it also means that he's in position to gank Jace level 3, whereas it doesn't look like Grig is going to be in that position himself.
He's actually going back to the Krugs, though. This is pretty interesting. So may just do a full side clear and try to even go for the bottom side scuttle. Maybe, try to actually double scuttle. I've seen this a few times where people do 2 camps, go to their own scuttle, then try to race straight over and get both. If he feels he has that jungle advantage.
Best way to get the mark, of course, which you do want to look for there on Kindred. Looks like it is spawning right side, though. The Dardoch can head over there if he wants.
Yeah, I think he definitely will. They put down a ward at the Raptor camp because Damonte was able to shove in, and they haven't spotted Grig yet. He's gonna, if he wants to get level 3, he has to rotate over to it, and they'll see him there. But they know that it's warded, so he's actually going to avoid his Raptor camp, I believe. No, he's actually going to pick it up, give himself over, and this will give Dardoch a lot to work with in terms of information.
Yeah, Dardoch doing Raptors first, so he has actually used his smite. He's fairly low. He will be able to be spotted on this ward. We'll see if TSM want to try to collapse for this. Their bot lane has the push. And I don't know if they're going to come up or not. I think they are just going to probably seed it, but Grig is moving over to this side of the map.
Yeah, he's going to have smite in a second.
Leona's coming up. They are going to try to look for something, but probably too late, yeah.
Looks like Damonte covering there, so Dardoch kites the crab in towards the strong side of the map. Really calculated play there, and he does manage to grab that first bounty.
It gives you like 3/4 of your mana back too. That's why you want to do the Scuttle Crab a lot of the times when you have the Hunter's Machete.
And this does mean that you're giving up potentially double Scuttle, which is, somewhat of a pretty big disadvantage.
Yeah, it's the jungle matchup, right? He can't really match him as the Sejuani, but also splits the map because now he can't play to the Jace.
The interesting thing is, though, you can't match, but they saw Dardoch on a ward on bottom side, so he could have traded, right? He could have taken the top Scuttle away. Instead, he just seeds that, decides to clear all his own camps. Dardoch, I think, is even assuming that the Scuttle is gone.
Well, good play there as Huni actually getting some traction early on in the 1v1. Hauntzer getting pushed in towards that turret. Despite, again, the counterpick here for Hauntzer. Kind of already happened to him. He counterpicked that Nah in an earlier game versus the Rumble, and Huni kind of ran him over and then won the team's team fights. Champion-wise, we're actually in a very similar situation here.
Yeah, now that the second mark spawns, Dardoch could get double marks, double scuttles. This is legit the dream start.
Yeah, absolutely.
For Kindred. Like, it basically can't get better unless people are donating you kills left and right. To get double scuttle, 2 marks at 4 minutes is just absurd. If he can now get a gank and pick up another mark, if you can hit 4 marks so fast, and it just becomes impossible for Sejuani to match you at all. So Grig really just seeding a lot, playing so risk averse, and sometimes that can be intelligent, sometimes that can work, but if you give up too much, it's really questionable.
And something that people don't consider about the Kindred is every stack really increases the speed of your jungle clear. It increases the attack speed that you get when you use Q. It increases the amount of percent HP that your Wolf does when he's attacking camps. And against monsters, it's a ton of damage. And then the E is percent missing HP. So a lot of people just think about the range, but during the early part, if you get 2, that's so much extra.
Huni used all his spells on the minions.
Yeah, he's got his flash, but I think Hauntzer's going to force him to use a Hauntzer flash forward. Wants to get the kill. There's the kill, and Hauntzer, he does that 1v1 solo kill.
Huni just lost his mind right in front of Hauntzer. Uses his electric rush, uses everything just on the 3 minions right in front of Hauntzer, and Hauntzer's like, well, okay, I guess I'll kill you. That was really, really poorly done there from Huni, and a great capitalize from Hauntzer.
And Hauntzer's doing a great job in that too. That's one of those situations where Time Warp Tonic gets him some extra autos in there, and now
Grig is
here's
here.
Grig.
This is the tragedy of top lane. The TP into instant regank and death. Huni, he's had an up and down series. He's not feeling so well, but Grig does back away.
Yeah, and now that that early Hex Drinker, Dardoch. Oh, he misses smite! Oh! Wolf, I think, actually got that. Not even the auto attack. The Wolf auto there got it as Mithy was about to take it.
That's a hard attack.
Was dicey.
But Mithy comes over and just spots it. Woo, barely. There have been some off kind of smites / feasts here.
But look at this. Huni, he just spends all his abilities on the minions right in the face of Hauntzer, and Hauntzer's like, well, sure, I'll all in you. And this is just really smart stuff from Hauntzer, but pretty disrespectful play from Huni. And you got to give the credit, though. Hauntzer did everything right in the chase down.
Yeah, that was perfect mechanical execution. And the Time Warp Tonic on top of it, yeah, like you said, Wolf just gets the last hit.
But still the pressure is here.
Dive.
Bjergsen levels 5, no flash, no hope perhaps here for Huni.
That's
it. Away, but there's the ult. Not bad there, but there's Galio actually. They're going to try and save him. Hauntzer maybe going to get it turned back around. Damonte flash torn. See you later.
What an entrance there from Damonte. Comes in, the damage reduction just barely keeping Huni alive. They take down Hauntzer. That is a huge swing.
It gave him the damage reduction, and then it gave enough time for Huni to get a stun onto Hauntzer. But hold on.
Careful.
Grig's the bounty. Dardoch wants it so bad.
One more
Grig
hit.
needs to be careful. He's able to get
he
it.
got six.
Learns respite, but he's got no reinforcement. Dardoch has to fight his way out of there as Damonte does actually come back down. And Dardoch, he does it.
You are kidding me. That is one of the best jungle plays we have seen all year long. 1v2, gets the bounty, makes the outplay, hits level 6. That is some of the best Kindred play you will ever see.
And you talked about it, Azale, at the start. Individual play is what this game has come down to, this series has come down to. Right here, he's chunking out Hauntzer, making it so when he goes for the dive, he's not full HP. Hits 6, has Damonte coming in, even though Bjergsen had priority. Damonte knows to play for the team. And right here, the ulti comes out before he can get locked up. Ultimate, Hauntzer rushes forward, gets stunned, knocked up, and he can't get away in time.
That is just incredible from Echo Fox. And then this jungle play, if we get a replay of it, this is just insane. Dardoch, so confident going forward for Grig. And look at this flash forward over the top, finishes off Grig, hits level 6 with the experience, instant Lambda Spike drop. Galio comes down, and he just walks out.
That's the difference in having 2
Rick
stacks.
Fox is pumped up.
I would be too, as Dardoch. Talk about Fox's struggles a lot of the season. Huni, of all people, has had a surprisingly mediocre season for a player with so much experience, but Dardoch has felt like the heart of this team all year long.
All year long, like you said. It's been, even in spring, he was popping off. I remember Dardoch walked through the hallways one time, he's like, I can't remember the last time I had an actually bad game, because it has been a while since he's had one of
That's
those.
Dardoch for you.
And then his good games stick in your mind forever.
I can think of a couple of bad games. Maybe Dardoch can't, but the Lee Sin into Poppy from Anda, he got slapped.
Oh, that's a hard game for
Yeah,
sure.
it-
That's where the...
And he's an incredible player, but that's kind of the beauty of Dardoch. He has this unassailable confidence, right? And I think that it can be one of his greatest assets, because how many players even try for that play? Most players, if they see that, they try to flash away immediately. They try to run. He's like, no, I'll just outplay you 1v2 and then level up and play it all perfectly.
And Dardoch's the guy who keeps trying to make those plays so that when they do happen, he's had enough experience in them. I remember back to the Rengar top, right? Where he's like, wouldn't it have been cool if he had gotten that pentakill and popped off? Like, you do it so much, you'll fail a lot, that's fine, but then you realize what your limits are, and that's where he's at. Understanding the Kindred damage there. Bjergsen is here, so is Mithy.
We're back here again. There's the stun gonna start training there, but Mithy with a great roam. He's gonna shut it down. Huni, dead to rights.
And that's a great roam for Mithy, like you said, Pastry. He's on the side of the map where you go, he has no business being there. They just got pushed in bottom. What is he doing? But it's a good play because he has no business being there, so they don't expect it.
Exactly. Grabs the Moby boots, just runs straight top, picks up a kill, and as soon as Dardoch realized 3 men there, he did back off of that one. Not going to be able to make an outplay there, but this does give some time here to the Echo Fox bottom lane, who had been getting bullied. Here it is one more time. You know, Hauntzer is up there, Mithy coming in, Bjergsen, 3 members from all sides, and as soon as you see Mithy, Dardoch's like, nope, gonna have to back off.
Yep. Tries to do a little bit to Bjergsen there, but it's not enough. It's not going to do anything to him. And I actually think the back got stopped. The back got stopped. So I think a minion actually ran it lost right before that replay and smacked him and broke up the lovers duo in the recall.
Yeah, which means he's gonna actually lose some minions here. Fairly impactful, actually. He's gonna lose at least the cannon. Dardoch, though, still doing incredibly well. Very far ahead in farm. Does have a number of early stacks and will quickly be hitting that 4 stacks.
Yeah, he's at 2 currently. He had actually swapped from Sejuani to Jace
Oh, no.
right before that dive top lane.
All right, well, again, Echo Fox still trying to defend from some of the pressure points here. Bjerg and Hauntzer both doing a good job keeping that up. Bot's been relatively even, but as that almost always means, looks like Zven and Mithy are ahead as a result. And Fox, they know they have to just get through a lot of these tough, aggressive lanes and try and get to a point where they can open up the map and try and take team fights.
It's going to be really interesting to see how they utilize this Leona and just this composition in general. You know, it almost looks like you're going to have Hauntzer and Bjergsen inside lanes, Mithy roaming around, trying to create picks with those strong solo laners. Because this is not a composition that you traditionally think wants to 5v5, and especially not against the insane engage that is on Echo Fox.
Yeah, the Rakan, the Galio, the follow-up into the Huni ultimate with the AP. This is going to be a very explosive team fight from Fox, so if TSM are actually ever grouped up, that's going to be a really bad time for them because Echo Fox will be able to just have that engage go. So I think it's kind of in TSM's best interest that they don't play together here. They all just kind of go their separate ways. Individual play. Play like individuals at this point.
And to think for Echo Fox what this means for them here in the summer. They had a decent showing in spring, finishing third up against someone that has just always won except for the last time. They want to shut TSM out again and push themselves towards what Huni has wanted, a win here in North America.
Yeah, and Echo Fox, last split, they ran into TL in the semifinals, and they were the only team to take a game off of TL throughout all of playoffs. So there was a debate that Echo Fox were potentially the second best team in spring over 100 Thieves, because we even heard about scrims and stuff like that, where Echo Fox were doing incredibly well, moving into the third, fourth place match.
Oh, nice knock up into the taunt. Dardoch here.
Wow.
Bjergsen maybe about to get punished. Does not need to flash away though. Double distorts to safety.
Still good stuff there from Damonte, anticipating the distort back, and is able to actually kind of cover both sides and get some pressure down. This may mean they get Dragon, as Bjergsen is low, but wants to stay around for any potential fight.
Great coverage here though from TSM. They have the wards in the right places. Fox are going to move in and try and clear them out of the way. They'll start the Drake though very early.
Grig is up on the top side, moving down. You can see Zven is trying to soften them up with these Mystic shots, constantly spamming them in, but doesn't look like TSM wants to commit for it.
Yeah, TSM aren't going to commit for it. The Smite was walking the other way. If they steal this somehow, it would be huge for them because 2 Ocean Drakes for Echo Fox pre-15 minutes.
Especially when you're thinking against Ezreal, against Jace, against this LeBlanc champions who traditionally, in the later stages, are trying to poke you out, get combos down to make you get forced back to base, right? LeBlanc doesn't always have safe wave there, so some of the ways she does that is by chunking out your marksman.
Yeah.
Double Ocean really messes that up.
Yeah, it's not 100 to 0, it's get them to 80% and then you can 80 to 0 them. This will keep people topped off on Echo Fox's side. It'll make it harder for TSM to actually execute the way that they want to.
Back to the top lane here. Huni continuing to absorb pressure. The TSM, despite the early misstep, what they have thrown here is mostly absorbed here. As again, make sure you're spamming out the chat with Fox or TSM because they'll need all the energy you can give them given we're in Game 5.
And remember, that vote was just as close as this series. 51% to 49% favor of TSM. We're in the final game here. That's kind of what the gold is saying. It's 51% for TSM. But hold on. Oh, wait!
Dodges the ulti, now flashes out of the way, gets a 3-man stun. Damonte gonna make sure he stays alive.
That was just a flub there from Grig. He didn't even hit Huni with the ult.
He's looking.
Again, still fighting Dardoch now with his ult, but he has to kite away back towards the Galio. TSM, though, with 4v2 are going to take the blue buff.
Yeah, happy to just secure that blue buff. Mithy decides to not go for it. He didn't have his ultimate, so it would have had to be a flash Zenith Blade, as more people actually believe in Echo Fox, despite how close this series has been. They have had some very strong performances, and a lot of those games have felt like it is in their hands.
Yeah, and that's always, I think, easier to retro games and learn from them when you are the ones who make the mistake and it gets punished because you were in control of the game, right? Sure, Grig steals a Baron, but he was in a position where he had to steal the Baron, right? It's that type of game where I completely understand the favor kind of leaning towards Echo Fox here because they have had control of the series.
And it's still so close. 15 minutes in, the gold is just about even, despite the 2 drakes that Fox have picked up. We're gonna watch this one again.
This Sejuani ultimate. Whoops. Ooh. It's a overthought there where you're just thinking he's gonna start moving back as soon as he sees that.
Yeah, I think he's just expecting a flash or him to just immediately run back, like you're saying, and trying to anticipate that. But it's the no juke juke. It can make you look pretty silly at times.
It's so bronze, it's challenger. Those are the ones.
It's full circle.
Like he didn't react.
Bronze and challenger really not that far apart, you know? It's,
yeah.
You get too high up, you become bronze again. You start over.
What if you go too low as bronze?
Yep, same thing.
You go negative elo, you actually end up at the top.
It's like underflow, overflow there. As a bounty did get picked up by Dardoch, so at 3 marks, Zven as well to try and maybe get the 3rd, but TSM read the dive. They just made sure to play safe. As again, we've got a much slower game now.
Looking again up to top side, Huni doesn't have his flash. There's no Damonte coming in to save him.
Ult again there from Huni, but Bjergsen now able to roam up here. Here's actually Dardoch getting there in a pretty good clip. Ulti is going to miss. He's going to go back into the lane to fight. Now Damonte maybe looking for his Bjergsen. He's trying to find the outplay. He's too far forward. Chain dodge by Huni. Bjergsen, he may go down, but he restores back over. Now Hauntzer getting dove in, but Bjergsen might still fancy something. Dardoch dead. He had no ulti. Here's Bjergsen again.
Bjergsen.
Lands it up to Damonte. And that's it. TSM, they turn it around.
His clone movement completely destroyed Dardoch in that fight. He actually moved the clone first. Dardoch flashed after the clone, trying to kill it. He completely was misreading that situation.
Dardoch lost his mind. He went after the clone, even after Bjergsen used a spell from the main guy. He was still focusing the clone.
That was huge for TSM. That looked like it was going to be an Echo Fox fight.
Yeah, but that's the pressure that they were talking about on the desk. Game 5, TSM, the veteran lineup here, coming through when it's clutch. And Echo Fox, there's a little bit of a choke factor here. Unfamiliarity with the situation.
And the price to pay was heavy as TSM get the kills, get the tower, and the Rift Herald.
I mean, this looked like it was going to be Echo Fox's fight to win. Dardoch is coming in. He's so strong, already a level 11.
The Sedge ulti?
Yeah, the Sedge ulti misses. And then look at this clone play here from Bjergsen. As the Mimic gets off, he actually moves his clone in there. They're chasing this lower minion, which is the clone. He actually flashes down after it.
Bjergsen used W there to hit Huni, and he's still going after it. What is going on?
It was just complete tunnel vision there from Dardoch. He thought it was Bjergsen, he thought the clone was him, and he just full in chases. And they know they messed up so big there. That is not just 3 kills for 0 in what could have been one fight. That was also the turret, first turret gold. That is thousands going over to the way of TSM.
And it's potentially the series. If you give them enough of a lead here, that's Bjergsen picking up assists, also getting out and not giving anything over. So I completely understand that from Damonte, that frustration there, because he's been playing up against the most decorated player in North America, and he has been holding toe-to-toe and helping his team out, but then those tiny things just slip by.
And again, Hauntzer looking to break this curse. Looking good on the Jace. Again, despite some missteps, TSM have been solid with their lane. And as a reminder, we have 2 teams determined for Oakland already. This game will determine 1 more. So if you'd like to join us in the Oracle Arena, please come over to Oakland for the 2018 Summer Finals. If it's anything like this series, it's going to be a blast.
And it's going to get even more crazy right now. Here comes the Rift Herald. 15 seconds on Infernal Drake.
Yeah, they're using it to just prep for that. You might actually get the turret. It's going to be very, very close. They do knock it down, but they're running straight over to this Infernal. Huni does have Flash now. He does have rank 2 ultimate, so there is playmaking potential. They have incredible engage here from Echo Fox, but they do need to nail that engage if they decide to fight here, because if you lose this fight, it may be the game going to TSM.
And Smoothie and Lost haven't gotten much in these fights. We haven't seen an ultimate flash with a W from Smoothie here yet. That's what I've been waiting for this game, is where are the engages and how are they going to land here? Because if he can catch Bjergsen and get that combo on LeBlanc, it's very potent.
Little vision here for Fox, so they have to play pretty much alone in the darkness. Grig, though, is going to start up the Drake. TSM want this.
Smoothie on the left.
Sees Bjergsen, but can't get a little bit more. Damonte again pops the W, walks forward towards the Drake. There's a stun by Mithy. Featherstone out as well. Lost. He just burnt the ulti. That's Fox. They have to call off the play.
Yeah, he gets too low there. Uses the ult on the Leona engage, and then Zven timing that ultimate so well out of it, chunking him down. Echo Fox makes the call not to fight, because if you fight there and you lose that fight hard, they could potentially go to that barrow. They could potentially get a game-ending play off it, so they decide to call it safe.
And that was great there from TSM, because Jace on the side was able to get a shock blast onto Lost, and then Lost actually took 400 damage from the True Shot Barrage, even though it passed through somebody right before, passed through Damonte.
And Infernal Drake over to TSM feels like the kind of insurance you need in this clutch moment. Such a tense game between the 2 sides. And Echo Fox, it felt like in so many of these games, they were the ones ahead and dictating. And finally now in the series, TSM have tipped those scales.
And TSM, with that lead, the 3,000 gold lead, or 2.5K that they have, as well as that Infernal Drake. There it is, but there's a QSS.
Combo landing in, Zven again, still gonna get dove, but Lost does pull the feathers back. Now the play extends as Mithy gonna be forced to flash.
Really nicely done. They finally find that engage. Dardoch's chasing forward,
He's
but
so far ahead of levels.
Bjergsen is here.
Yeah, he's the one in the XP lead. Dardoch gonna get latched on there by the chain. Fox, they want to try and finish this. Mithy with a great stun, but no follow-up there for the rest of TSM. That will be Fox getting the turret.
Yeah, really big pick. They get that gold a lot closer, because remember, TSM, they got the lead off that top play, but they need to have the lead. They need to be dictating the pace of the game, splitting in these side lanes, because in an even 5v5, Echo Fox should win.
Yeah, with all of that wombo combo that they have, but also, we were talking about it, Smoothie with the engages, that one there that caught Zven is exactly what they needed to get that turret, get themselves back into the game, because Zven had QSS, but it's a two-part CC. It is a charm into a knockup. He QSS's too early. He QSS's the charm, gets knocked up, has to wait for it. Charm, QSS came out, now he's airborne, so then he hits the ground. Then there's the flash E. He needs to QSS the second part of it and flash immediately out of it.
Yeah, and Lost with the flash follow there, they get the pick, and that is, I mean, a small window to make that play. As soon as they saw Mithy moving off to the right side with that ward, immediately Smoothie goes, and you have to be able to pull the trigger like that to actually make it happen, so credit to them. Dardoch looking to pressure on the bottom side, but they're wrapping around.
2v3 ulti from Grig nails it! But the Lancer Spire will keep Huni alive for a little while longer. Dardoch out of there, but the follow-up stun is great. Zven swoops him for a freebie. And now Huni on the danger getting sniped. The Q missing from Hauntzer.
So critical Huni survives there because TSM could have gone to Baron potentially. They may still decide to do it with Dardoch down for 30. They're not going to try to make the move. They're too far away on the play.
Yeah, and their team composition, it just favors Hauntzer in a side lane, kind of redeeming NA Chase against NA players, saying it's time to split push, do not group. He's 2-1 and 3, 100% KP, the only person on the team with that. This Jace is ready to just split push and get these turrets.
And it's a good proactive play from TSM on the bottom side of the map. They know Dardoch wants to play around Huni. 3 members coming down. You can see all 5 of TSM, though, are heading this way. And Dardoch and Huni split up. This is really a smart play to make. One flashes one way, one flashes the other, and then Hauntzer just barely off to the side. Didn't have vision, so had to make the guess on the shot blast, and doesn't quite get it.
But heads up play there from Dardoch. Incredibly well played, saving Huni. Potentially it looked like he was going to save maybe himself as well, but then Zven is the one who actually stops that from happening.
Gotta say though, quietly but surely, Lost has been farming up. He's on 2 items on this crit marksman. You know, if he gets to that IE, he can be an absolute menace in the team fight.
Yeah, him and Smoothie, they haven't been getting much of this game. It's all been the top half of that.
They
There
go.
it is.
Smoothie again fights Mithy. There's the ult from Gallia with the stopwatch. Actually going to buy more time. Mithy going to eat a taunt. That's a kill. And now Damonte moving in towards Zven, but they can't quite nail him down.
Yeah, if you don't see Smoothie, who's been very silent in this game, those engages will catch you off guard. You haven't been prepped for them at all in terms of this mid game, and that's why we're watching him. He's the one who really has to bring it home for Echo Fox.
That's why it can be so hard. Oh, as Bjergsen's going in.
Again, getting aggressive. Latches Dardoch, but he won't be too far forward. Bjergsen wants to get away. The clone is there. No knockup.
But it can be so hard as not just the guys who are in the side lanes, but as that 3-man squad. You know, Zven and Mithy and Grig are often going to be left alone to their own devices, trying to hold waves while Jace splits, while Bjergsen looks for picks. And you have this hard engage that you always have to be watching out for, that you always have to expect.
Yeah, the counter to the 1-3-1, having that incredibly hard engage. But both teams are actually playing in the ideal fashion that they would want, right? TSM, 2 winning lanes that we talked about after Champion Select.
Mark 4. Dardoch gets it and has to get out of there safely.
Yeah, but like we were saying, this is the winning lanes for them. Is this an engage? Mithy throws it down.
Maybe not so much safety, only a dual slow. Dardoch again gonna get jumped up with Damonte. Around the wraparound, finds the flank. The youngster on the Echo Fox side is gonna make the play.
The bottom lane goes down for TSM. 5 members up and near the Baron pit here for Echo Fox. I think they're gonna start it. They do, but Grig has flash. Grig has smite. Huni is flanking.
Huni is coming in with the ultimate available. They don't see it. He's just waiting in the side. There he is!
For Echo Fox, Huni, he finds it in the fog of war. Grig is not gonna fall, but Huni's gonna zone him off. Huni, can he get it? The rep up ticks in. Huni still stays alive, and Bjergsen finally able to get the kill.
I don't think they can get the Baron. They got poked too heavily. TSM barely keep Grig alive. And Echo Fox back off in the 5v3. TSM holds.
Huni trying to be the hero there, trying to blow up Grig. It was so close. The red buff almost gave the finishing touches, but the red buff is the reason he survives because he smites it. And Fox have to back up.
It's the right play, I think. Fox, don't overextend, but TSM, they get another advantage taking this Grig.
You've got to wonder, though, is the better play, instead of trying to solo out this tank jungler, as a flat spell pen, Kennen, who is behind, is a better play not to wait till TSM overcommits and then go with Smoothie, with Damonte, the whole team turning and killing them, then going back to the Baron, right? Instead, it's Huni trying to do his solo adventure.
Yep.
He does go for it. Grig is low, and this could have been a play that worked out, but I mean, you have the ability to turn and engage. You can see the ultimate was available for Smoothie. Why not wait until TSM comes forward and then 5-man turn and get that kill?
Yeah, and like you said, he uses it there onto Hauntzer because it looked like they wanted to help him out. But that was one where they decided to go to the side. And oh man, that is one of those moments where it is basically a great representation of Huni's split so far. He has been playing pretty much the same as he has before throughout his career. It's just not working out for him by inches.
And you don't always have to make the hero play. You know, you don't have to go for that solo big play. You can wait. TSM is the one that has to go to the rest of your squad. They didn't go for it either way. TSM's 3-man squad plays it well, keeps them alive.
A little bit of that Echo Fox grid kind of infecting Huni once again. Bjergsen continuing to dive forward, face out a Q there from Smoothie. And again, despite no Baron, it does feel like TSM are just over-pressuring the map here. Fox will have to answer a very tough situation.
Yeah, just look at the vision. It's lights out for Echo Fox right now. They have that one ward behind red buff, that's it. That's the only ward I think they have in the entire map. That one's even just gonna get picked up there.
They do have a blue orb here on Lost that they may need to actually expend. I mean, they don't know. And there it does go down. Jace shows bot, so they may need to try to move in as a squad and look to reestablish at least some vision control around this Baron.
Yeah, strength in numbers here for Echo Fox. They're gonna have to face check some stuff and just trust that there aren't enough members of TSM here. They had seen the Jace bottom, they saw the LeBlanc top, and just clear out this vision and kind of go back and forth with the seesaw.
And Lost just about now has gold for his IE. He needs about 100, 150 more gold to be able to actually complete that, which is going to be a really, really big buy for Echo Fox and their team fighting.
And this is Lost. His debut in the North American LCS. His debut in the North American LCS playoffs against TSM. Game 5, he's the one who has to carry him and Smoothie, the bot lane that got brought on at the same time to kind of help Echo Fox close out the split, shore up one of the things that was considered a weakness for them. And now they really do have to step up right now.
Smoothie is a player that has been in quite a few finals but has never won. His playmaking may push Echo Fox into a decisive situation, but is so tough to play against a bot lane this experienced and this good at winning.
And Smoothie, he has been in those playoffs. He has not won against TSM in particular. This is the team that has always had his number in the moments where it counts.
And TSM has full vision control here. They're setting up a bait, multiple pink wards. No blue trinket available for Echo Fox. They're trying to move in to actually clear this out. It may be a fight.
Smoothie has to go. He finds the 3-man. Not the Galio ult as well. Echo Fox, the man found the fight, but Lost is so low. They're just not going to pull him back as Huni does die. The combo is not quite enough, and Damonte dies. Lost now so low, but he does not die.
TSM can go to Baron, though. They know the health bars are so low. Dardoch is up, but how could he really get over there? They're going to go back to base. It looks like this is just them sacrificing the Baron. Dardoch is down on the bottom side farming. TSM has spotted him on the ward. They'll get the Baron.
And that was beautiful from Mithy. His ultimate to counter the ultimate that came out from Smoothie. Smoothie, it looked like he had everybody corralled, grouped up, and as that ultimate hit, you want the follow-up. It was only the Galio. Nobody else could get in past Mithy's solar flare. Let's see that here, because both of the supports make the best play they could.
Yeah, I mean, Dardoch still back a bit far away from the team. A nice ultimate actually goes over, and as you said, the solar flare catching Lost, the Mystic shots that are coming over, the ultimate coming from Zven, putting Lost so low.
And another thing people need to consider is the ultimate from Sejuani. When it explodes, it is a 3-second, 80% slow.
Yeah.
So you cannot get through that choke point after that person had been stunned.
I mean, Lost basically went down to 10% HP. All stuff that was like almost a screen away from him, that was coming from out of fog. It's very hard for him to really do too much about that. And TSM now 5K ahead. Echo Fox still with the ability to win team fights, though.
Smoothie with the cooldowns back up. He might try and make another play. Echo Fox, when they start falling behind, they can look pretty desperate, but they are always a team that fights to the bitter end.
Huni on the side, looking for a flank.
Mithy, though, just making it work. Goodbye, Dardoch. Goodbye, Tier 2 turret. Fox's chance is starting to slip away.
Yeah, that kill is so big. This could be them breaking the base in multiple lanes. Jace so strong. Hauntzer pushing it on the bottom side. The mid inhib will be going down. They're going to give up 2.
And that's one dead on the bot side. Gonna maybe make it two, like you said, Azael. This might even be it. Dardoch is dead for 20 seconds. TSM will claim these two inhibs.
It's going to be kind of just by the book here for TSM. Bjergsen's going to catch that top wave. They still have 2 minutes on the Baron. That is more than enough time to reset, get back here, and shove waves.
And you can see the magic damage burst coming through there onto Dardoch. His ult was not up, and he just gets absolutely popped in that Leona plus LeBlanc combo. Really making it work here for TSM. Again, the solo laners having such a strong performance.
TSM again playing the Echo Fox style, so high tempo, TP back, take another turret. They're looking to take down all 3 inhibs.
Mithy about to have the ultimate back up, the solar flare, the catch potential available once more.
If he goes in as soon as that's off cooldown, TSM may have turned over a new leaf here in playoffs. They're just looking so strong, they're waiting for the opportunity. Mithy has had so much criticism leveled at him throughout the split. Might make the plays that give them this game 5.
Yeah, Dardoch is just getting chunked out so low. He's kind of playing with fire there. He has to go back to base. The minions are coming in mid and bot. Echo Fox need to go now or they're going to get triple inhib.
They're about to lose it. They have to go. They have to go. But Bjergsen says no. Damonte looks in for the charm. Looking for it now. But Mithy again gets his old flash box. He's trying to make the play. Grig, though, who's going to have the feathers pulled back. Smoothie is almost dead. But Echo Fox is kind of running out of health. Bjergsen able to get that inhib.
That is triple inhib, Infernal Drake alive. TSM are going to have so much pressure in game 5 and potentially move on to the semifinals, but there is still life in Echo Fox.
It's going to be so hard, though, with 3 inhibs down, 2 super minions per wave, 6 coming at you. The amount of wave clear alone that takes is so incredibly difficult to deal with.
TSM not even stopping a TP Hauntzer on Jace in this final game to just go straight for the Infernal. That Baron will wear off, but TSM will grab this, will reset, will storm through Fox's mid lane with 2 Infernal Drakes and give them the hardest challenge of this roster's career.
And Echo Fox, who have had their chances, who looked like they were poised to take the Baron, and botched it, have thrown away a lot of their chances. They need to make something special happen now. You can't sit back and wait. You must engage immediately to hope to stall out this game.
Damonte,
He was hoping for the base check, yeah.
Echo Fox are trying all the tricks. Bjergsen again gonna try and scout it out. Does such a good job with these ult misses though.
But that was Bjergsen's Banshee's Veil. This is where Smoothie needs to engage if Bjergsen steps forward. If you could catch him, he doesn't have a QSS. There's no McHale's. There's nothing that stops Bjergsen from dying. If you can catch him.
Smoothie can't quite find it. Damonte also looking for something with TSM. Gonna try and turn it back around. Zven though still pretty healthy. Here's Huni, Protovel in. Only finds frontline. Zven still living for so long. And that's 2 kills. Hauntzer, he might make it another penta to end out the game. No, it's Bjergsen that takes the next kill. But Damonte is dead. And TSM will right their wrongs from their quarterfinal. They will do what they cannot do before. They will be pushed to the brink, but this time they will triumph.
And the sighs of relief from the fans that all split, even last split, just had no idea how this was going to work out for TSM. In the years past, it was a given. The finals, every time. Last split, etched into their minds, the worry on the tip of their tongue. And here, TSM silence the haters, and they move on to the semifinals, and they will be in Oakland.
What an incredible series. 5 games that required them all. Back and forth, time and time again. But incredible performances coming through in this final game. Hauntzer, a monster chase performance, was hitting shock blast after shock blast and dominating Huni in this final match.
He had almost 1,000 damage per minute on that Jace. Doubled the damage of anybody else in the entire game. That was an NA Jace game if I've ever seen one, but that is an NA Jace.
Maybe starting to reverse some of that fortune there. I mean, that is insane limit testing game here. I'm done so, by the way. I'm so drained after that Game 5 series, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough for Echo Fox now, not making the trip to Oakland, missing out on a potential guaranteed berth into the World Championships through championship points or a summer split victory that Echo Fox so badly wants. They have to go back to the drawing board, prepare for a potential regional gauntlet.
Yep, regional qualifier is something that they have to look out for here. await whoever they're going to play against. But this is TSM surging at the right time. This is TSM being back in kind of the form that people expected from them when they brought on Zven and Mithy. Grig seems like he's integrated with the team well, and they continue to make their trek towards righting the wrongs and making it back to finals.
I mean, if you're going to peak at any time, I guess it's a pretty good spot to right before Worlds are starting, as your summer is looking so much better. But credit to TSM, they invested long term and it is starting to pay dividends.
It definitely is, but I think the toughest challenges lie ahead. Team Liquid, NC9, doesn't matter who you play. These teams look monstrously good at the end of the regular season. I think clearly the #1, #2 team, TSM, wants to get back on top, and they now look forward to an opportunity to prove that they are the best.
And of course, remember that TL will get to wait and see. They'll choose their opponent. Be curious to see who they choose. I think it is always tough to play against TSM in the postseason. Don't want to get burned by, again, them making those finals, but going to be fun to watch. And of course, one more quarterfinal coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, and this is not going to be an easy road for TSM. In fact, I would say this is probably the hardest playoff road that they could possibly have, because it would involve them winning against Echo Fox, which they just did, and then having to win against either TL or C9, and then potentially one of those guys in the finals if they were to make it all the way. This is not an easy playoffs at all, because there was so much parity during the regular season. It stays completely even when we go into playoffs like that.
For more on how they took that quarterfinal, we're going to send it down to Overly and TSM's bot lane.
Thanks, guys. Zven, Mithy, congratulations on that win. What an intense game that was. How are you guys able to pull it off?
I mean, I don't know how, but like I think we had good preparation for this specific team, and I think they're actually a really good team, Echo Fox, even though they're like, what, 4th place or something. But I think today we had teamwork going for us. I think Parf really had a good draft today and good like adaptation in between the games. So, yeah.
And speaking to that, at the end of game 1, you actually had the game-winning pentakill, followed by 2 rough losses. So what was going through your head?
First thing is, I thought he was going to play Draven into Kai'Sa. And I gotta admit, I was kind of sweating in the early game when he was playing Draven. I was kind of getting shit on the lane and stuff, and they played really well in lane. But once we got to the mid game, I knew our team comp was much better in team fights. So I just knew that if we don't lose too fast, we will win this game in team fights, and we did.
And Mithy, we saw you break out the Leona in game 5, the Ez-Leona combo that we haven't seen in a while. So what really triggered that?
Yeah, I mean, Leona has been a champion that you play against Rakan. So once Rakan got a little bit nerfed and Leona got buffed, I thought that maybe we can just try it again. And honestly, I don't think it's very great in certain situations, but I felt really useless, but my team was able to like play the range game and actually kite them out really well. So it ended up being a good pick. I don't know if it would be so good always, but in this specific scenario, it was actually a good pick, yeah.
And what did you think about Echo Fox's bot lane today as opponents?
So I think that they came in really hot in the first game, playing Draven and stuff, and we expected it. They played well in the first game. The second game, I think they played Draven again, and they shadowed us in lane. But I think overall, yeah, at least I was able to play better than them both, so we won.
Okay, I think today their bot lane was the best players in their team by far. I think they played well in lane especially. So I think Fox bot lane is actually very underrated. They're by far the best laners I play against, together with Team Liquid. So I think Fox bot lane played good today.
Great. And between games, we were able to take a little sneak peek in your post-game meetings, and we saw Reggie come in and talk to you guys. So what kind of an impact did he have speaking after games?
I mean, not only is he our boss, so we have like that feeling of your boss is nearby, right? But he's actually smart about the game, Reginald. He might have his blue cards and stuff, but he's actually a really good player, and he's really smart. And his words were actually inspiring to me and motivational. So I think the pep talk he gave us about teamwork and how we have to commit for the plays, even if they're bad, and not do 2 things at once, he actually helped us.
Old memes. Mithy, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, just anytime you have a veteran player giving you any advice, you should just take it and just take as much from it as you can, and especially someone that is looking at the games from behind. He actually listens to our comms, knows what we're doing, knows what the NA team is doing. Any kind of advice from a person like that is very welcome. And I mean, it helps that he's our boss, so we have to listen, you know, but, but yeah, definitely very helpful.
And both of you guys were brought to TSM to win. And you have just won your first playoff series of this year. So what do you think needs to happen, or what do you need to do in order to qualify this as a successful move?
I actually think Fox is one of the teams that are better against us than most teams, because I think they play a lot of different champions. They play very aggressive in the early game, something we've been struggling with recently. They play like counter picks, like you saw the Draven pick, and these kind of champs other teams don't play. So I think if we keep doing what we're doing and we prepare well for next week, I think we will be actually better against them than this week.
For me, I came to TSM because I'm a Real Madrid fan, and TSM is like the league version of Real Madrid, in my opinion. So I just wanted to like join my favorite team in league and just kind of like see where that takes me. So even if we would have lost today, I would have not been like, regretful or anything like that for going to NA. I mean, I would have not. Jesper would have probably, but coming to America, like the whole experience and adapting to a new place, new teammates, like just new mindset too, and how things are done so differently, has been a big like growing experience for me. And yeah, I don't really regret it. And now that we won, it's even better. But I mean, we still have a long way to go.
Well, guys, thank you so much and congratulations again. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Avali. She will be sitting down with Bjergsen later on to hear more about that win. But first off, a huge congratulations to TSM for the 3-2 victory here over Echo Fox. You guys did end up calling it. Meteos the only one to get the scoreline correct in games. But let's talk about how this team did it and what it means, again, for an organization like TSM who has never missed a world championship to keep their playoff run alive here in summer. And keep that upward trajectory of improvement.
It definitely didn't come easy. Both teams taking carries in the top lane, which is, of course, where a lot of the action went. And the rest of Echo Fox's team comp being a very strong five-man, kind of engagey, burst team fight kind of focus. Whereas on the flip side for TSM, very slippery champions pretty much across the board.
Yeah, I think that both teams had fairly decent drafts. I don't think you can fault either team too hard on the way that they draft based on how the series has gone. So I did like how both teams drafted, but Echo Fox execution wasn't very good this game.
I was going to say, at least in a Game 5, I like to hear that it wasn't decided by the draft, right? That we're happy with what both teams, picked for themselves in terms of some tools. Mark, yeah, you've given me a face.
I was just say, it wasn't decided by the draft, but there were some very questionable choices in terms of pre-lobby summoners and runes. I don't know why Huni
You don't like double cleanse?
I don't like double cleanse, and I don't like electrocute. If you have phase rush here, even though you blew your cooldowns on the wave, you still get out of there by getting the proc off and running out. That was a big problem, and then
this was a disgusting play.
This is just this is a feels bad man for Dardoch when you're making plays like this in Game 5 and the rest of your team isn't helping.
I feel so bad that Dardoch lost this series. I'm not super close with either of these teams, but just based on the way that he played out of his mind. One of the best jungle performances I've seen in a while, and his team was way too heavy.
Ignoring this, but.
This doesn't count.
This was the one oopsie I think you can really fault him for, maybe. But even then, it was good on Bjergsen outplaying them.
Right, and one oopsie out of 5 games, I'll take it when he's crushing the rest of the field. But again, for TSM, with the map rotations, getting Leona out of the lane, relying on Zven to 1v2 the lane so that they could make plays elsewhere, they got control.
I think that was really big, actually, the amount of times that Mithy was allowed to roam. This is the one game where they weren't really far behind in pressure. TSM actually got first turret. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. We don't know what the comms were like for Echo Fox here, because even if Huni should have probably broken the Sejuani passive before ulting, if the rest of Echo Fox just 4v4s Baron, they get it. And Grig's not going to be able to make that smite steal with 200 health, but they back off, the fights roll on.
Nice cleanse.
Get poked out.
Nice ultimate on Xayah.
Did Lost actually use his cleanse a single time this game? I never saw it.
I didn't see it, and I also didn't see him ult a Leona ult, which is kind of the strange thing about like having all these defensive tools. It does help you get through the laning phase. Obviously, she's very scary there, but if you're not going to be able to pressure when Leona's out of the lane, that's going to be a big problem. And they always could have gone for the split map play. I mean, they tried so hard to keep Huni in the game by sending all their Galio resources top with the Kindred. On the flip side, you can dive Leona and the Ezreal with this Xayah Rakan Galio Kindred combination, and they chose not to do that, and it kind of, you could feel the game slip away from them over time.
I just received word Lost did use cleanse one time in this game, but one time over 35 minutes is not necessarily ideal.
How could you, Meteos?
But
on the Nexus.
Yeah, I actually think, though, that like the interesting point that can come out of that is, again, the idea of playing not to lose. And when you look at the veteran status across all of the members of TSM and a couple of the young guys on Echo Fox, like Lost and Damonte, who find themselves in kind of uncharted territory at Game 5, you know, when you're trying to make a push for Worlds, having been one of the top teams in spring and carrying that through summer. That's a lot to carry, and so you end up in this situation now you play not to lose, and it ends up biting you in the end.
I think that they were definitely probably nervous going into this because Leona is a counterpick to Xayah Rakan. It's very good against Rakan because you can cancel his W where it doesn't even knock you up. But I think that the double cleanse was definitely just an overcompensation. They just went way too defensive. And I think that they could have got a lot bigger advantage in that lane had they played to win the lane rather than just like 2v1 in Ezreal and not get any advantage.
Yeah, and when you talk about the pressure of the game as well, I thought Damonte probably dealt with it pretty well. His Galio game did amazingly compared to what we've seen against some other people that are playing against Bjergsen's LeBlanc. I do think that Huni was probably the breaking point of the series as well. He had one good game with the Rumble. The rest of them, you argue, were mostly bad games that were getting out pressured. And that's something that Echo Fox relied on pretty much the whole year, and they didn't have it down the stretch.
And I think, especially given the news that he was sick all week, we heard that scrims, they were using Nintendo potentially for some of those. And you just got to think with how close this series was, it's just unfortunate for Echo Fox and Echo Fox fans that you don't have your superstar player at 100%.
That said, their summer run is not over yet. They can look towards the gauntlet, quite possibly. So we'll get back to our discussion about this series and Echo Fox's future. But for now, we're going to toss it over to Avli and Bjergsen.
Thanks, guys. Bjergsen, I know you say that I can't just keep picking you for all my interviews, but you can't go 11-1 as Irelia and pick up a pentakill and not expect me to ask you about it. So tell me about how the series went from your perspective and how you were able to stay focused through the long series.
Oh, man. There's really no recipe to staying focused in these long series. We had been playing best-of-5 scrims, kind of, or playing 5 games in a row to kind of prepare for this mentally or be able to play that many games in a row. So I think that practice really paid off today because we went all 5 games. Series overall was exciting. There was just a lot of adaptation in every game and in every draft. We could see both teams adapting to what the other team had picked. And yeah, just really happy I got to show off my Irelia today.
What did you think about some of those drafts? Because there were parts where it looked a little weird on both sides.
I think in a best-of-5, the drafts are bound to start looking a little weird the later it goes because even though it might not be the most optimal meta, it's like this best-of-5 meta where you're constantly adapting to what they're doing, and even though it might look weird in isolation, in the series it feels right, and I felt like I'm pretty happy with how we adapted, and a lot of the things felt like, even if it might not be the best absolute draft, it made us more comfortable or it put us in a position where we just felt it was easier to play the game.
And you had the crazy Irelia game. Grig had the crazy steal. What did you feel about, or how did you feel about the rest of your team's performance today?
I think everyone just had a game where they stepped up. Kevin, obviously, in this last game had a super good game on Jace, and I know Parth was sweating a little bit picking Jace in the deciding game. That's always a risky one for TSM, but obviously Jesper having his pentakill, Mithy just playing a great game on Leona overall and helping me get that pick on Dardoch towards the end of the game. So I think we all had games where we didn't play as well, but then everyone also just had a game where they really stepped up and carried from that position.
So I asked Zven and Mithy a little bit about this, but what's it like having both Parth and Reggie in the post games, talking to you guys, giving you the pep talk beforehand?
It's nice. It's really useful because they all kind of have different perspectives. Obviously, Parth, Song, and Lost are very focused on draft and how we need to be adapting in the game and how our strategy was. Andy's very focused on just these Andy things and these things that he sees in the game that other people might not necessarily see, especially in these high pressure situations. And Weldon is the same way. He sees how we act, how we communicate, how confident we are, what is leading us to be confused and not communicating properly. So I think it's great that we have so many people watching over us during the game.
And I've seen a couple of your Weldon sessions in the makeup room. What kind of an effect has that had on you personally?
I think just for me personally and for the team, it feels like we're much more comfortable and we're in a much more kind of calm and competitive mindset. I think he helps kind of get the nerves out of the way or take those nerves and transfer them into kind of excitement and mental energy and joy for getting to play on stage rather than getting on stage and thinking, oh, there's a crowd, there's so many people, I'm nervous. Just enjoying that there's a crowd and we get a chance to play in front of such a crowd every week, and that we're lucky enough to get to play again.
And speaking to kind of like playing to the crowd or having maybe on stage jitters or dealing with some of the criticism of TSM's passiveness lately, how do you deal with all that weight on your shoulder?
Well, it's not much more weight on my shoulder than I've had in the past, so it's not really anything new for me. I think for some of my teammates, especially John or Grig, it's obviously something new that he had to deal with, and I think having Weldon come in has helped him a lot, kind of game perspective, and for him to know that we care about him, we like playing with him, and we respect him as a player. And the most important thing is that he doesn't have any doubt coming from us. If he has no doubt coming from us, and he knows that we trust him, then he's able to make these kinds of plays like he did in this series.
What do you think about his growth since when he first joined the team?
I think he's really willing to speak up against us, which is something I want in a jungler. I want him to be able to say, no, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. This is what I need to do to get ahead or to be powerful or the player that I see. And I think that's kind of the player that we've been building him up to, and I wanted every jungler of mine to be able to do. And I don't want John to feel overly pressured from the community or for being on TSM or anything like that. I know that affects him a little bit, and I think it has to all the junglers on TSM, but I want him to just continue to grow into that role and be really confident and able to tell us what he wants to do.
And pulling attention back to your play specifically, you have had some phenomenal games recently. Are we getting any closer to seeing the old solo carry everything Bjergsen again?
Well, it seems like we're only really winning when I'm playing Assassins, so I think we'll just continue to do that, and I don't think they can ban them all out, so I will just keep picking these champions where I feel confident and I feel like I have the ability to affect the game on my own and make individual plays. Not that I'm playing well or even perfect on these champions every game, just I think my entire team also just feels much more confident when I'm playing these champions that can make the aggressive and potentially game-winning play like Irelia LeBlanc.
And going into semifinals next week, Team Liquid has the choice between you and 100 Thieves FlyQuest tomorrow. Are you expecting them to choose you for a second round?
No, I mean, I think we already have a feeling that we're going to play C9. I think Peter might say that we're boosted, but I don't think he has the balls to actually pick us. So I'm already preparing to play against Jensen for next week.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that game, Bjergsen. Thank you again and congratulations. Back to the analysts.
Thank you very much, Avli. Not afraid of anybody, and with
Now
full
I have
trust,
to see a TLTSM.
right? Okay, yeah.
Or I want to have
The gauntlet has been laid. But full trust in each other, hallmark of a great team. Another hallmark of great teams is having great players. And of course, that man that we just spoke to is a great player. And within this series, played fantastically. TSM won through explosive play from every member on the map, but it felt as though one player really swung that tempo, which is why we're awarding Player of the Series to Bjergsen.
I mean, the Irelia pentakill obviously being huge, had another good Irelia game in the first one, and then the LeBlanc calling his own number, getting an assassin, and being able to roam up to the top side. That's one of the things we said we wanted to see out of TSM when they're playing well, is him getting on the map, and that's exactly what he did in that game.
I thought he definitely did really well on the playmaking champions, Irelia and LeBlanc, like you've all said.
What is that kill percentage you gave for?
You got all of them.
Yeah, he got most of the kills.
Oh
That's
my
not kill
God.
participation.
That's-
That is actual kill percentage.
Yes.
That is pretty gross.
11 of 14.
It was
Yep.
one kill he missed.
Again, the 3 wins coming on 2 Irelia games and 1 LeBlanc games. Definitely some picks that can take things over. My question is related to kind of the idea of TL or C9 of their next opponents. You know, how will they deal with what are considered to be much stronger and more consistent opponents, at least as of late, with C9's back half and TL's back half, as compared to a more chaotic Echo Fox?
So I feel like TL and C9 are both stronger opponents than Echo Fox. So I think TSM moves into the semifinals as underdogs, regardless of whether they're playing TL or C9. And I think they do have to take their play up a notch if they want to be able to win that. The level of passiveness we still saw out of them for most of these games, I just don't think is going to cut it against teams as coordinated as TL and C9.
I could agree with that. I think that Bjergsen's expecting to play against C9, and C9's actually looked insanely good these last few weeks in LCS. So I think that's definitely going to be a hard match for TSM because in a lot of these games, I felt like TSM, when they would get advantages, which they weren't finding much in the early game, it was usually off of an Echo Fox misplay where they bit off more than they could chew. They went for something that they couldn't do, and then TSM was able to reap the rewards, you know, like diving between 2 turrets and killing themselves all over the place. So I think when you're up against a team that's maybe a bit more patient, plays a lot more controlled game, you can really struggle if you're not the one making the aggressive plays.
Now, for Echo Fox, of course, as was mentioned, they will make their way to the Gauntlet, so the season is not over yet, but I do want to talk about their prospects moving forward. Of course, we talked about Huni having a pretty lackluster day on top of the illness that struck him this week. So, is there confidence that, hey, with a healthy Huni back on the table, they might be able to run the entire Gauntlet and make it to Worlds, or is there more that they need to shore up when they can establish those early leads, but seem to have the misplays or enough misplays to throw it back?
I actually think they're in an okay spot. I think because, you're looking at C9, you're looking at TL, but TL is most likely qualifying through either probably winning the split or most points, I think is a relatively safe assumption to start making. C9 is where you start saying, are they going to be in the Gauntlet or not? And that's when you get scary. But after that, if you're talking about maybe bumping into TSM again, you saw how close this was. You talk about maybe bumping into 100 Thieves. I don't think they're that scared about any of those guys. And so I think depending on who else is in the Gauntlet, Echo Fox could easily be, if they manage to improve a little bit, in a good position to advance.
I would love to see Echo Fox get to Worlds personally.
Yeah.
I realize they have a hard road to get there, but I think that NA historically has struggled to be aggressive in international tournaments, and that's usually kind of been our downfall because, these other teams, LPL, LCK, are just insanely aggressive all over the place. And I think that Echo Fox would have really fun matches against them.
What are your thoughts there?
I always thought our downfall was Jace, week 2.
Well, not Jace anymore, right? Did we just break the Game 5 Jace curse?
I actually think that
Sun was in our eyes.
Echo Fox could potentially be pretty strong. And there's a lot of teams that could still go to Worlds from North America. There's a danger that they actually think that, if Huni just played better, then we would have won for sure, right? And that they're not trying to improve. They have 3 weeks now. It's a matter of staying motivated. I think it'll probably work to their benefit that they can stay motivated and positive about the results of this and have a pretty good chance in the regional qualifier.
Alrighty, but either way, TSM comes out on top 3-2 in our first quarterfinal of the 2018 summer postseason. If we pull up the bracket, though, presented by Jersey Mike Subs, we see that TSM's win does guarantee them a spot in the top 4. We return tomorrow for 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest. You see there, the broadcast, or rather the games start at noon. Countdown starts at 11:30. So don't miss it. Yes, it does. After tomorrow's series concludes, Team Liquid will choose their semifinal opponent, leaving the remaining team to face Cloud9. And of course, you already heard Bjergsen call it out. We ain't afraid to play anybody.
Are you coming back for Countdown tomorrow, Meteos?
I will be here tomorrow.
Yay!
That didn't answer the question.
Wait.
We'll have to figure it out.
Just be here or on the show?
I'm gonna be here.
I thought you guys
subbing for FlyQuest.
Oh.
Right? You're on their playoff roster.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe.
Well, of course,
I'm not sure. Upon further examination, that was a dumb question.
I like how that all played out. Well, of course, while we have one more quarterfinal playing tomorrow, TSM is heading to Oakland. You can too. Make sure you stop by lolesports.com/tickets to see how, or rather, where you can pick up those tickets and join us in Oakland. Gentlemen, we got one more quarterfinal series tomorrow. This is the 3-6 matchup. So by numbers, more lopsided, but let's recall that 3 through 6 was decided by a tiebreaker day where all of these teams actually ended the regular split entirely even.
Yeah, you don't want to sleep on either of these teams, especially 100 Thieves. Like, they're a team that actually finished second last split with Meteos on the team, and they're third this time with good tiebreaker results. They have a lot of veteran skill, and they're really good in the mid and late games.
Their tiebreaker game itself
and they have a lot of
is pretty
championship
nuts.
points. They could very easily go to Worlds.
I could definitely see tomorrow's series being close like the one today. And I think that the teams, while it's not as defined as, like, attack versus defend of Echo Fox versus TSM, I do think that FlyQuest has historically had a pretty aggressive style, whereas 100 Thieves play the more controlled game. They like pulling apart their opponents, like playing the macro game, playing the map. So I think it'll be a really interesting series.
Makes for a very interesting clash. Again, we've got that one tomorrow, 11:30 countdown, 12 p.m. PST start. Now for myself, the cast of the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more of the NALCS. Good night.
We have so many different stories between our players on why we can't make final and why we can't win, but new story starts with us winning.
Smoothie running into the mid lane. There's the devour. This looks like first blood. Rotations around. Bjergsen's going to try and get out of there, but he's gone towards the turret. He's channeling away, and Dardoch swoops in for first blood.
Popping off flash. Just flash. On money more at least. Yeah. Go on, Dream. I can send him. Nice, guys. Nice. I can look at Kai'Sa here.
Go, yeah.
Kai'Sa, stun. Oh,
Nice,
stun.
nice. We can go, guys.
Okay.
Recently, we've started living up to our old reputation that TSM is a team to be feared.
TSM rushing in there, Zven with a double, Zven with a triple kill, Zven with a quadra kill. TSM in game number 1 will get their Kai'Sa the pentakill. Now Grig, he's stolen a lot this split. Mithy also around the side, maybe gonna try something here. Grig, he's gonna go. You're kidding me!
I'm looking at Kai'Sa, Kai'Sa, Zed. I'm dead. No, we're gonna win. Okay. Kai'Sa's dead. Okay, boys. Fight after, no? Yeah. I take this here. Azir, no flash. Nice. No, we can. Yeah, we can. Wow.
Huni says, I may be ill, but test me again. I dare you.
I think all the teams that we're playing against know that we can show up at any given day.
Smoothie cleanses out of the way, but Bjergsen dives over the top. Takes down Huni, takes down Smoothie. Bjergsen again looks for Lost. There, gets the flash Q. Lost is going to get down the stun. Bjergsen, he is dancing around the Echo Fox carries. Bjergsen will push TSM to where he always has the pentakill and the chance for another finals appearance. Yeah, he's got his flash, but I think Hauntzer's going to force him to use a Hauntzer flash forward. Wants to get the kill. There's the kill, and Hauntzer rigs the bounty. Dardoch wants it so bad. Grig needs to be careful. He's able to get it. 6-6.
No, just play mid bot. Here. There's such a big
Nice. Zven still living for so long. That's 2 kills. Hauntzer, he might make it another penta. They will do what they cannot do before. They will be pushed to the brink, but this time they will try